Imagine a life where nothing can disturb your inner peace. Not misfortune, not loss, not even pain. This was the core belief of Epictetus, a philosopher born into slavery, yet a man freer than most kings. His teachings laid the foundation of Stoicism, a philosophy built upon two pillars: endurance and control. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." These words are more than just wisdom. They are a guide to surviving and thriving in an unpredictable world. In his view, most suffering comes not from external events, but from our inability to control our emotions and reactions. The Stoic way is not about suppressing feelings but mastering them. It is about understanding the difference between what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, our attitude, and what is beyond it: fate, the actions of others, the shifting tides of life. The wise man, according to Epictetus, does not waste energy fighting what he cannot change. Instead, he focuses on fortifying his mind, enduring hardship with grace, and living according to virtue. In a modern world filled with chaos, distractions, and constant uncertainty, the Stoic lesson remains the same. Strength is not in controlling the world, but in controlling yourself. In a world of luxury and excess, one of Rome's wealthiest men chose to live as though he owned nothing. His name was Seneca, a statesman, a philosopher, and an advisor to emperors. He understood the paradox of wealth, how it enslaves the mind rather than setting it free. Seneca warned us, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality. How many of our fears are mere illusions? How often do we lose sleep over worries that never come to pass?" The Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, the anticipation of misfortune, teaches us that by imagining the worst, we rob fear of its power. But beyond fear, Seneca also spoke of the weight of possessions. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. He did not preach asceticism, nor did he reject wealth outright. Instead, he advised mastering it, owning fortune, rather than letting fortune own us. Seneca practiced what he preached. Though he lived in grandeur, he would periodically sleep on the floor, eat the simplest meals, and strip himself of all comfort. Not out of necessity, but to remind himself, happiness does not come from abundance, it comes from contentment. And today, in an age of endless consumption, where we chase possessions as if they will bring meaning, his lesson echoes through time. True wealth is not found in gold or silver, but in the freedom of a mind unburdened by excess. In the heart of battle, where steel meets flesh and empires rise and fall, Marcus Aurelius, the last great emperor of Rome, did not seek conquest but wisdom. He wielded not just a sword, but a pen, filling the pages of his meditations with lessons that would outlast his empire. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These words, written in the solitude of a battlefield tent, remind us that chaos will always rage around us. The world is uncertain, unpredictable, but within us, there is a fortress, an unshakable mind. Unlike rulers who indulged in excess, Marcus Aurelius lived with restraint, practicing humility despite the absolute power he held. He understood that power, wealth, and status were fleeting, mere illusions in the grand cycle of time. What remained? Character, virtue, a disciplined mind. Even as Rome burned and enemies closed in, he did not lament his fate. Instead, he asked, "What stands in the way becomes the way." He embraced obstacles as fuel for growth, turning adversity into his teacher. And today, centuries later, his wisdom stands tall. In moments of hardship, in times of doubt, we too must ask ourselves, do we succumb to chaos? Or do we, like Aurelius, master our minds and face life with unwavering resolve? Aristotle, the great thinker of Athens, sought the path to a fulfilling life. Happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence, he declared. But unlike those who chased pleasure or renounced the world entirely, Aristotle believed the answer lay in balance. He called it eudaimonia, a state of human flourishing achieved through the golden mean, the balance between excess and deficiency. Courage, for example, lies between recklessness and cowardice. Generosity stands between wastefulness and greed. And wisdom itself is the harmony between ignorance and overconfidence. Aristotle warned that too much indulgence leads to ruin, yet excessive restraint can drain life of its joy. The challenge, then, is not to live in extremes but to walk the middle path. In our modern world, where ambition often turns to obsession and leisure to stagnation, his words ring true. How do we seek wealth without becoming consumed by it? How do we strive for success without losing our inner peace? Aristotle reminds us, happiness is not found in fleeting pleasure, but in a life lived with purpose, virtue, and balance. In an age where certainty is prized, questioning is often feared. Yet Socrates, the father of Western philosophy, built his legacy upon doubt. He did not claim to possess wisdom, but rather sought truth through relentless inquiry. He wandered the streets of Athens, challenging poets, politicians, and craftsmen, asking not to prove them wrong, but to unveil deeper understanding. His famous words, "An unexamined life is not worth living," were not a mere statement but a challenge to himself and to all who listened. Visual, a bustling ancient Athenian marketplace, where Socrates is depicted in conversation, surrounded by curious onlookers and skeptics. Narration, but questioning comes at a cost. The Athenian authorities saw his influence as dangerous, accusing him of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. Given the choice between silence and death, Socrates chose death, drinking hemlock rather than betraying his principles. Yet even in his final moments, he did not waver. He questioned until the end. Time erodes mountains, civilizations rise and fall, yet wisdom, true wisdom, remains unshaken. The voices of Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Aristotle, and Socrates still echo across the centuries, speaking to those willing to listen. Their words are not relics of the past but guides for the present and future. Their lives teach us that power fades, wealth is fleeting, but character, reason, and virtue endure. Socrates' courage to question, Aristotle's pursuit of balance, Marcus Aurelius' unwavering discipline. These are lessons carved not into stone, but into the human soul. As we stand at the crossroads of history, what wisdom will we leave behind? What ideas will we pass on to the generations that follow? The past has given us its greatest gift, the wisdom of those who came before. The question is, will we use it?